Hello everyone and welcome to the Enemies Elliot, and thank you for joining me as we discuss the Wolves Knot arc, the Foog arc, the Zargian's Flower arc, and the little epilogue at the end. Some more fantastic arcs from this series from both an action standpoint and a world building point of view, with some new characters being revealed and Bam's reasoning as to why he joined the shady organisation gets explained. Let's talk about all of this in this video. So real quick then, let's go over the Wolves Knot arc. This arc was great if you're a fan of Kuhn's character, but nothing extremely exciting happens here. It's quite comedic, but here we get a good showcasing of Kuhn's smarts and skill set in recruiting an interesting team to say the least. However, that being said, I really like the comedic aspect from this, and especially from his new team, especially that whole kind of joke at the end where they have t-shirts based on how strong each character is. So if you're the strongest out of the group, you have a number 1 t-shirt. And the big guy thought he was the strongest, so he ordered a number 1 t-shirt in a large size for himself. But he's number 2, so he's got a little tiny one. I thought that was pretty funny. However, this arc does a great way of showing Kuhn's skepticalness of Rachel. He suspects that Rachel was lying about not being able to walk, or what happened to Bam at the end of their test. And this again plays to Kuhn's perception skills, which we know are very high and very good and on point most of the time. So this is very good because it's in line with his character. So real quick, I just wanted to add in on this part. If you look at this image right here, Rachel looks really fake and she acts really fake in her dialogue when Kuhn is talking to her in the bedroom. And honestly, Kuhn obviously knows that Rachel, or suspects that Rachel was lying, so it's obvious that if Kuhn is being skeptical of Rachel at this point, he's going to pick up on any and all signs that she gives. So I think this scene may not seem that important at first, but when you look at the body language and you look at the expressions on Rachel's face, it just looks plain, bland and boring, and somewhat fake. So when it finally gets revealed that Kuhn was says to Rachel or something, "Oh, I knew all along," or "I suspected you all along that you were lying," then eventually, that can link back to this panel right here. But anyway, back to normal video with his character. The new team's goal with this bunch of characters is to protect Rachel and help her climb. This, of course, is honouring Bam's wish of Rachel still climbing, even though that he's not around anymore. And the other group, the cast of Season 1 with Shibisu, are travelling up ahead. And honestly, I do think this is a smart decision. The reason as to why I say this is a smart decision is because at the moment, Rachel pretending to be unable to walk is dead weight. She's basically baggage that is weighing everybody down. So Kuhn thinking, I need a new team. I need another team that can basically be this backup team that primarily looks after Rachel and helps her out. That's what I need. So he does that. And again, it plays to the skill set and tool set that Kuhn actually has. And I think that just does volumes for the characters that are involved. Plus, I'd love to see this new team go up against Violet's team. And honestly, it could happen depending on which teams go up against and how the kind of workshop arc plays out that we get told at the end of the epilogue. So hopefully that happens. And now let's move on to something a little bit more spicier. So then we talk about Ulrich freaking Maisonneuve. This character finally makes his appearance, and I already love this character. This character was a boss. Within the Zargian's Flower arc, this character makes an impact, but not just from a physical power standpoint. I'm talking more about his influential standpoint that this character has. His influence is incredible. Yes, he's insanely strong, but the bigger fact is that in his introduction, he manages to change something that was quite big within the world and the floor that they were currently on, after achieving his own personal goals. The Eon family hid the truth about plucking the flowers from the Zargian's babies in order to keep that flower sacred. However, once Maisonneuve left with the one that he wanted, that dark secret from the Eon family came to light. Now, that was revealed by the Eon family themselves, so this goes to show how much influence the character of Ulrich Maisano actually has in the story, as the Eon family are one of the 10 great families, so they're not likely to keel over or bend to anyone very easily. So they must have obviously felt threatened enough to the point where they expose themselves. They thought there'll be more damage if this character of Maisano exposes us before we expose ourselves. And I thought that was brilliant, because again, it does massive things for Maisano's character in showing off how influential he is and how powerful he is all around as just a person and as a being. We had the characters, the regulars kind of saying, oh, well, he's got a weird flow of Shinzu, we really shouldn't get near him, we need to go. And they basically thought, nah, the only way we're making it out is if we jump him all together. That's how strong they is just from his presence alone. But again, the more extravagant feat that this character shows off is his influential power in how he managed to change and reveal a big piece of information by one of the 10 great families just basically bowing and exposing themselves. I thought that was great. So it turns out there is a connection between Maisano and Yuri. That gets revealed in this chapter, plus there's talks about this character of Maisano wanting to leave the tower. So where we had Bam at the beginning of the story, opening a door and basically coming in himself into the tower, Maisano wants to find that door and leave, so we can see the open skies, the starry night, and whatever else. Which doesn't really make too much sense, because if it's the same place that Bam came from, that this guy wants to go to, then surely that doesn't make sense if Rachel wants to see the stars. But hey, maybe it's somewhere different, and if I am wrong, you can let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, there's one thing about this character Maisano that I thought was a little bit over the top and a little bit too extra. That is his move's name. Supreme King Scorching Fist of Death. Come on dude, shorten it. Apart from that though, this character gets a massive thumbs up from me, because his intro and display was phenomenal. So, most of the rankers that we've seen from this series are pretty scummy. Am I right? Well, I'm excluding characters like Leirero and Quint. However, most of the rankers and administrators are pretty shady. While reading through the Zargian's Flower arc, we learn that the test that Violet's team will be facing is slightly different because the other team ran away. And I immediately started thinking that something was going on in the background. This again plays to the antagonist kind of vibe that the rankers give off, which to me speaks out as smart writing. So I really did like that as well. And it was until the fact that Maisano stated that the regulars were being played with and used as bait, just like many rankers before them were, just to lure Maisano out. And then obviously that reveal was pretty good, that twist was great, but at the same time, you could still get that kind of feeling, that kind of vibe just from reading the dialogue before that reveal was actually happening. And I really do like that, because again, it just speaks volumes as to the way they've written the character so far, which I think has been very smart, nevertheless. However, we have this twist where the test has been set up in a different way. Now, I like this because it plays to the justice that the rankers and administrators have in their own beliefs. They believe that any threat to the tower should be dealt with and taken off the board immediately. And they're put into a situation where Maisano or Violet could be taken out. And to me, that kind of doesn't justify the actions that the ranker's done, but it makes you understand their thought process and why they did it. Think about it. Violet is a member of Foog that is a danger to the tower. If he gets too far up and too influential, then he's going to be a pain to deal with later on. Maisano is already a big threat to the tower and is constantly doing whatever he wants to do because no one else can really stop him. He's already killed so many rankers beforehand. So it's either Violet takes out Maisano or Maisano takes out Violet. Either way, it's a win-win for the rankers. Prospectively, I think this is really good story writing because again, it plays to the idea of justice that these test administrators and rankers currently live by. And yes, it makes them look very shady, but we've seen more examples of rankers looking shady and acting shady and more than happy to do anything to basically stamp out any threats the tower possesses. Just look at the actions that Hong Sung-yu was taking. Now, admittedly, Hong Sung-yu is a little bit of a bad example because we learned that he's aligned himself with Fook. Yes, he's a ranker, he's an administrator, and now he is a member of Fook. This character just can't make up his mind as to what he wants to do, but he's playing some crazy 4D chess, and I absolutely love it. Because it keeps me guessing as to what this character is going to do, and I'm constantly left scratching my head, thinking what more information is there to come, because I just don't understand the character of Hong Sung-yu and where he's coming from. These arcs clear that up a little bit more, slightly. Those rings that he gave to the Season 1 cast are likely to play a big role, and they do play a big role in chaining down Bam to becoming a member of Fook, revealing that basically Hong Sung-yu will kill any one of Bam's friends with those rings because they've got a tracking device in them if he doesn't comply or looks like he's failing. And this obviously spurs Bam to go, yeah, okay, I'll do it. No, don't hurt my friends. And that, again, adds to the credit and boosts Hong Sung-yu's credibility as an antagonist. This, I loved. Personally, though, I think that Kun would have convinced the rest of the group to throw the rings away, kind of speculating and guessing that maybe something fishy was happening with the rings. Plus, Dorsey wouldn't likely wear something so cheap because she's a princess of Jihad. Saying that, though, there is one possibility where the rings do stay on the cast members, and that is Rachel. Maybe there was a conversation between Hong Sung-yu and Rachel before the final of the test or before moving up to the next floor, where Hong Sung-yu was like, look, I'm going to give out all of these rings, make sure you keep yours on you, because it could just save your dream. He wouldn't go into detail because he doesn't want to reveal that Bam's still alive, but he could just say something like that that kind of makes Rachel go, okay. Because we know that her dream of being the star, being the main heroine, is so important to her. Okay, so following on with this whole Rachel kind of ordeal, I love the conversation between Bam and Hong Sung-yu in this arc, where Bam was like saying to Hong Sung-yu, this is all of your fault. It's because you want this to happen that things played out the way they did. And Hong Sung-yu was like, no, this was all Rachel's idea. Rachel wanted the climb, so she did what she did. And Bam's like, why Rachel? Rachel, why? Why would she do? And it's because Hong Sung-yu replies like this. He goes, maybe for her, the garbage at the top of the tower was more important than you. And honestly, that line hits pretty hard when you remember the conversation that Bam had with Hong Sung-yu before the test, just before Rachel betrayed him. If you remember, Bam's dialogue to Hong Sung-yu was, if Rachel isn't up there, that place is nothing more than a pile of garbage. No matter what's up there, that won't change. You told me being like I am is strange, but to me, you're the person who can't find a single thing that is precious within that heap of garbage. Now, the conversation isn't exactly like word for word the same, but there's still the same sort of idea and the same sort of context behind it, and I just love that whole scene and that whole connection that kind of has. It's like an opposite parallel, and I think that's pretty cool. Now back to the normal video. Honestly though, Bam, you're way too kind for your own good. You're chained down by the threat of having all of your friends killed, so you join Fook, an organisation that is pretty shady in his own right and full of some not nice people. He needs to help them achieve their goals of killing the King of Jihad, because only a ranker that is not bounded by the contracts of the tower can do so. I meant to say a regular, not ranker, but you get the idea. Although we've seen Bam as Violet acting a bit more colder and more serious towards other characters, it now makes a lot more sense and is completely understandable. He doesn't want his friends from Season 1 to die, but at the same time, he knows that anyone that travels with him will get targeted, or worse, they'll get used against him. And hearing the other Fook member that trained Bam state that at the end, that Bam's got new shackles, new chains that we can use and leverage against him now because he's got this new team around him. I think that's great. Because again, it boosts Fook's like sort of seriousness and their vibe. It makes Fook seem a lot more malicious and a lot more kind of credible as antagonists. However, saying that though, we do get glimpses of Season 1 Bam shining through as he starts becoming more and more friendlier with his new teammates, going as far as shielding the character of Misang and risking his own life. Trust me, if Bam dies, I can certainly see Hong Sung-yu just killing Bam's friends anyway for failing and basically making them wait all that time for no reason. The rest of the Violet team, so Bam's new teammates, their whole display was very wholesome in these chapters. Whether that's wanting to help out Violet because they care about him, like Wang Nang does, or whether the fact they need Violet around, like Prince for money and Eon in case their powers go out of control, I think it makes the characters shine a little bit more. I think these teammates had some good moments in these arcs. Nothing too stand out because the main focus was obviously Bam and Mazino. But at the same time, I still think they did okay. Misang had been kind of talked about in this arc to have self-confidence issues, which could lead to some great development for a character in the future, so I'm all up for that. However, her bravely following that little piggy into the hole, you might think that actually makes her have less of an issue with her self-confidence. Honestly though, I think it actually suffers as a result, because this test ended with Violet getting seriously injured while he protected her, so it's likely that that kind of mentality state is going to play a role in the development. She's going to be like, oh no, I shouldn't do this because it's going to lead to one of my teammates getting hurt, getting injured again. I don't want this, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And I'd love to see how she develops moving forward, because I always like a good character development segment. For two members of Foog, it's the guide with the red hair that we always see and a new member, were a great addition to these arcs, as it adds another layer of seriousness and darkness to the series, as it helps build up tension with the idea that they were originally going to kill Violet's team so that he could get one that is more capable. And they still have this threat of being killed looming over them as they kind of move up the tower. So this obviously will help Violet's teammates push themselves to grow stronger and to become more reliable. This I like because, again, it's more development and I think we need a bit more of that moving forward. I don't like the idea of Violet/Bam being this massively powerful character on the team and everyone else just kind of standing behind him at a very long distance away. So I like the fact that these characters can now develop and grow and become a bit more stronger. Not on the same level as Violet, because they haven't had the rigorous training that he has. But at the same time, I still think they do need a bit more of a skill increase. So hopefully, seeing that will bring some good fortune. It looks like we're having a time skip, so we'd like to see what skills and techniques they learn in that time skip. Overall, a really fantastic set of arcs from this series as it continues to build up the world of the TOG and develop characters, while at the same time giving us some new fresh and creative characters, fights, segments, scenes that fill up each of these arcs as we read through it, making each chapter feel fresh and revitalized, and nothing seems really stale or slow-paced. Everything seems to be moving at a very nice pace, and I quite like that. I think that the story writing has been solid, and most places it's been excellent. The comedy was great. I loved the line about the member of Foog kind of coming up and saying, "Oh, are you bullying Bam? Are you on Twitter?" I like that because it's throwing shade at that social media. But at the same time, you know, I just thought that was funny. The action was brilliant and the artwork was phenomenal. Seeing that it looks like a battle arc is incoming in the form of the workshop battle excites me, as we could possibly see characters like Hats, Shibisu, and Nak and Dorsey return. However, I think the dialogue between Bam and his former teammates could be something that's even more interesting to see. Obviously, Bam can't just drop everything and stop doing his duty as a member of Foog. So seeing him interact with things like Endorsey or Nak or Rax or Kun, I think could be very, very interesting. Again, there's so many possibilities and so many avenues they can go down. I'm just excited to see where it's going to go. I'm thoroughly enjoying my read so far, and I can't wait to continue reading further. Plus, I hope this little bird dude actually gets to meet Dorsey. He deserves it. Just look at him. He looks like a chocobo. Other than that, though, I want to know what your thoughts are. Let me know them down in the comment section below. What do you think of these arcs? And if there's anything that I miss, make sure you let me know so we can have a good old chat about it in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked the video, and subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me. Until next time, have a great day. Alligator, matane, goodbye.